All right, I hope this works. I'm going to do a quick update on Fuse. So let's go and just quickly install. It's already installed, but just want to show you that you can, you do some development, just reinstall the whole thing, and it recompiles everything, rebuilds the objects. Everything's pretty much empty, just starting from scratch. And I want to show you what we have here. So we're going to create a procedure. This procedure I think already exists, but list all DB users, and we're going to create a procedure called get row count from table. And then we can look at those. Where are they? Should be. Yeah, no. So we got those two procedures. So now we're going to call Fuse add tool. So we're adding these. We're basically registering these procedures with a tool group called Oracle functions. So this one's got some parameters. Now I've only tested one parameter so far, so everything is barely working. It works. It's now time to improve it, make it better, that kind of thing. So if we look in our Fuse tool table, we can see our tables are stored in this table. This is going to be a lot easier for the average DBA to build some functions, register those functions with Fuse, and then get to work using those functions. If you look at how to do this behind the scenes with the JSON structures that you need to build and things like that, it's not something the average DBA or very average kind of administrator, maybe even just a power user, is going to be able to do, but they will be able to do this stuff with Fuse. So I'm going to delete from my log table in the JSON data table just so I don't have to look at stuff that's already there. And what we're going to do, we're going to run init, set randomness to 0 since we kind of want consistent behavior. I'm going to create a session, and we're going to use the default model, which is set in the Fuse config file, and that is the Llama 3 big one, 30 plus billion parameter model on Groq, which is the fastest and the best. And I've kind of shifted my thinking in the last week. I was trying to support a bunch of providers and models. I'm supporting like 4 right now. I think that's good enough. Like, I'm going to have pretty much any model I need out of those 4. And really, Groq is turning out to be the best so far. I just want something stable, really stable, predictable, and one of the top models. So that's what I'm not going to focus so much on expanding that unless I see some functionality and something that I want. So we make a system prompt, your function calling LLM that uses data extracted from a function to answer questions and perform actions, basically taken from the Groq tools example. And we're going to say, okay, user, how many rows are in the log table? I'm going to go ahead and change this to a table that might be a little bit more static. We'll try SQL log. It's not static, but it's a little more static. It doesn't change all the time. If we did the log table, we're logging to the table, so the answer is not going to be the same as soon as we go and check. And so we're going to set a tool group of Oracle functions so that it knows to potentially answer using these functions. And let's go ahead and run that. And, oh, not working. What did I do? Session not found active. Okay, I messed something up. Let me try this. Run it manually. Init, create session. Okay, so it's running now. Okay, so it ran. Now there might be a little bug in there because I've seen that error just before, and it seems running the second time works, which is probably some sort of bug in the code. We'll find that later. So let's look at our session prompt table. So the most recent prompt will be at the top. So you can see here's our system call. How many rows are in the table? The tool went and ran that number, got that number, and then this is the AI assistant. It answered correctly. So this is an example of basically allowing AI to run things in the database. So let's just check that. We'll do a select count star from SQL log, and I think that was the number 011. Yeah, so it works. So it made that call. So if we wanted to see some logging, that would be in the log table. I might be logging tokens right now, so I'm not going to throw that up. Here's our JSON data, and tokens could be embedded in the response stuff. But so you got a lot of junk here, and the code is I'm saving you from doing all this because this is pretty much, to some degree, what you have to do to build a robust system that lots of people can use and things like that. So suggest you, if you're interested in this, that you download Fuse and get it installed, start playing with it, start understanding the code, and if you think you've got some improvements, go ahead and just let me know what you'd like to do to improve it or expand it. As I said in other videos, there's no license on this right now. I'm not going to put a license on it right now. This won't probably, I don't know if it'll be out there forever, or at some point I'll say, you know, I'm going to maybe pull it and maybe I'll let it out in 6 months and put a license on it or something like that. I'm just using it as an experimental playground, but haven't seen anybody doing this yet in PL SQL, in Oracle, inside the database. And if we're looking at like, how do I use AI to take my job away, you know, what we basically need to do from here is we would want to expand. I'm not going to do this, but you would expand that library of functions. You would build repeatable, you'd build test cases so that, you know, what if they say how many rows are in this and they don't say table? Does it still work? Does it work if it's a view? So you would write lots of test cases, you'd build lots of functionality, and then you would put a voice API. Most likely you would REST enable this or in your organization, and then you would make some sort of chatbot which can then do some basic lookups, like look up you know, the REST endpoint. Maybe you'd have a single REST endpoint that can talk to all the other REST endpoints, but basically it's going to make REST calls using voice commands to do this. And so this could be totally from my phone. I could say, hey, does this database for this customer have you know, this account? Could you please lock that account? You know, and then how do you build in all the safeguards, like how, you know, some kind of verification tokens and things like that, so that you can say, yeah, I actually do want you to run this. This is a dangerous command. Filtering, you know, firewalling your SQL commands, essentially what Oracle has announced in their new 23 AI, firewalling those SQL commands or something. So not through the firewall, but basically a filter that says, hey, this looks like an alter system. We don't let you do this without a token. So go and do that. So anyway, you can do a ton here, but the dots are beginning to connect, and this is what you need. You need something this simple so that people can work on it and expand it, and so that we could potentially have a tool library out there where we write these tools. And these functions aren't like normal functions; they're actually procedures in this case, and you know, they need to set a global CLOB object as they run, so you can grab that instead of, they could return values, but it's not how I'm doing it now. And they need to be really written for AI. Like, there's amount of data. You don't want to return too much data. Let's say if you wanted to say, you know, how has SQL performance changed in the past week or past 2 weeks? There's going to be a very specific data set that you want to show it in order to make those determinations. And so those aren't necessarily going to be your normal queries that you would run as a DBA. You're returning 10,000 rows. That's not going to be a good thing to do with this. So there's a lot of things you need to think about when you're working with this. Okay, so I've been working this about a month and still having fun. So hopefully we'll get some more videos out later this weekend. Thanks for watching.